They're gonna open that petition here in a minute, and we just turned the air conditioning down, so it'll be a little cooler in here.
Good.
I don't need any steamy, hot crowd.
We had meetings last night.
Throwing fruit and vegetables, although I am hungry.
Poor baby.
I'll talk to you, Phil, for you.
Yeah, that's it.
We get started here in just a minute, and then open it up and won't interrupt. I do appreciate everybody coming. It does show some concern and dedication to the hobby. I appreciate that. And what we're going to discuss in this is maybe some points that you don't like, you don't want to hear, but it's the true fact and condition. Yes, sir. Is it in here? Yeah, it sure is. It's a true condition of the hobby, our concerns, and it's also going to tell us what we need to do to correct it if we have enough people that care. To correct it. Let me go ahead and get this noise out of the way. Usually I get stuff like we want to invite you to the club, and we want you to talk political. It's time to talk political. We're going to discuss several different facets of what's going on and why it's going on and why we're being attacked, why we're being threatened out in the field. And I want you to kind of hold your questions, if you don't mind, until I give the floor to you. Let me go through the whole thing, and we'll back up and we'll talk about certain points that you may be interested in. As you can see, I brought plenty of paperwork for you today. And the last thing I'll give you is possible answers for if it happens to you in your area, which some of us sitting in here it's already happened to. So just bear with me, and we'll try to get through all the facts. For those that doesn't know me or do not know me, I'm Keith Wills. I'm president of WWATS. And I didn't start WWATS, and that's a fabrication. WWATS was going 2 years before I ever got involved in it, but they asked me to be president. Jim Ferrillo's vice president, and he's the only drunk we have.
And I was the first president.
And he's short.
So blame it on me, I give it to him.
But anyway, here's what we got. Description of the hobby. Let's look at our hobby today, what it is. We have a group of people, organizations of people. I'm not talking about just one hobby, I'm talking about several that's into treasure hunting, metal detecting, gold prospecting, that generally a person off the street can go to a Walmart store or Academy store and buy a metal detector, and those people can't tell you how to turn them on, much less give you any ethics whatsoever. So we have what we consider loose cannons out there with a metal detector. Hopefully they'll learn, but the manufacturers don't stress enough in their books or get you enough to the point where they do a separate sheet or something that tells you some ethics that you should go by and check and get permission before you do it and stuff like that. So thus we end up with people and some of our own in our own groups that do know the ethics creating problems for us everywhere. Now it's not just all our fault, but this is where the description of the hobby is. And we enjoy metal detecting. I do too. I don't want to do this. I'd rather be swinging a detector and seeing what comes out of the ground. But it's become a part of it now. And if we don't do something about it pretty quick, I'm about to give you some examples, it's going to be gone. Your children won't get to enjoy it. I can tell you that, and your grandchildren will be the furthest thing from their mind. And so I know you have some questions there, and we'll get to those, but right now, at present time, we have like the New York City parks. They're being closed. I'll give you a short definition of why. They're closing because the entire city of New York, this is a real grabber, is actually the battlefield of Long Island. So they won't close the parks from you digging, although they excavate this lot over here and build this 18-story building and tear out down fences and rip up streets and stuff like that. They have no consideration for that, but yet they're worried about you digging a divot. It's no longer called holes, we dig divots. Digging a divot in the ground in a city park and putting a plug back in if you do it ethically. So their city parks is mostly because they're claiming now the antiquities of the Battle of Long Island. But there is word going around that the lady left $11 million to 2 or 3 of the parks, for the Parks Department, if they would stop metal detecting in the parks. That's a new breed for us. We hadn't had that one before. She passed away, and her inheritance says $11 million goes to the parks if you stop metal detecting in the city parks. So that's a new thing. Now we have Louisville, Kentucky city parks. Supposedly they claim they have caught too many holes in the parks and stuff, but then after the fact that they claim this hole and this hole and this hole was holes in the park, some of the club down there videotaped squirrels out there the next morning digging the same hole. So we have a lack of education on the Louisville, Kentucky side. The city and the mayor is not listening, the Parks Department's not listening, and we've shut down all the parks in Louisville, Kentucky from allowing metal detecting, and they've been banned. Washington State Parks. Washington State Parks has gained a lot of, they got a good group, they've gained a long ways, but now they're trying to put new restrictions on them and reverse what the Washington people have been doing all this time. The treasure hunters there. California dredging laws. For the prospectors in here, you've already heard it. They've been trying to put more restrictions on dredging, more requirements on license to be able to dredge in the rivers and streams in California. Florida divers laws. Florida divers laws now are getting ready to close down anything you find in the water. They're going to claim it as part of a shipwreck and claim it as a antiquity and that you can't have it, you can't use it, and they'll catch you and cite you if you're in the water. That's great for Florida visitation. People that come out there are tourists. Forest Service regulation changes. The Forest Service has been trying to change their regulations for years. I was invited back in 2003, I think, by the Forest Service to go up there and help them change them on metal detecting. But then Miss Bush got into it, and there were some other things that Miss Bush wanted to do with antiquities and stuff like that. So all the Forest Service got everything on their agenda put behind for years until Miss Bush was out of the White House. So now it's still in a mess. We're still trying to figure out what the Forest Service is going to do, but I'll tell you about our visit here a little later. Michigan County Parks. Michigan County Parks, city parks are open, county parks are closed. They banned the metal detectors. Wisconsin water detecting. As of 2 weeks ago, nobody's allowed to water detect anywhere in the state of Wisconsin. The DNR, Department of Natural Resources, shut it down. They're afraid that you're going to find something of an artifact somewhere, whether it's noted site or not, and you're not going to report it. And so no more water detecting in the state of Wisconsin. Closing in New Mexico state parks. Nobody's got an answer from New Mexico people yet. Why? They've been open for 20 years, metal detecting in the state parks. They even have a regulation that allows it. They've banned it all now, so it's just stopped. Some other 12 states in the United States that do not allow it in their state parks. DNR rule changes. DNR, Department of Natural Resources, are trying to change rules to restrict any excavation in any of their parks. The really part that I like is like in the DNR lady in New York that's part of this closure in New York has now claimed that frisbees damage the trees, so they want to outlaw frisbees. Several river authorities are banning Ohio River Authority. I haven't heard anything from them, but the Trinity River Authority and some of the others are starting now to close down the recreational areas along the river to metal detecting. And then we have Texas State Parks. Most of us in here are pretty versed on that. We can't get a bill through Texas State Park because of Mr. Kipple out of Seguin that gets elected every year and sits on the board of national resources and gets the kickback from the state parks people for his hunting, and we'll never change it until he's out of office. So if you live in Seguin, I'll be glad to share advertising with you to get him booted out for next election. We have Harris County and Travis County parks. They've been banned from metal detecting for one reason or another. Somebody saw somebody close to a historical marker, but the historical marker was not for in the park, but was in the park